All right, a very good afternoon and welcome to everyone present here today. We are delighted to kick off yet another thought provoking webinar on connecting the dots. First and foremost, we extend our gratitude to our esteemed speakers for their participation in this panel discussion. A warm welcome to all. Dr. Somya Badgayan, VP HR Business Strategy of Gold Star Jewelry Private Limited. Miss Harini Srinivasan, partner at Semicostal. Mr. Rohan Lele, founder and director of Amaltas Consulting. And Mr. Shyam Gaur, senior manager, talent and resource management at Signex Relevance Lab and Accelerant. Crisis management is essential for organizations to prepare for, respond to, and recover from emergencies. Integrating sustainability into crisis management plans ensures that responses not only address immediate threats but also considers long-term environmental, social, and economic impacts. This approach enhances resilience and promotes sustainable development. Our esteemed panelists would share their views on this insightful topic, integrating sustainability into crisis management plans. HRA welcomes you all to the session on connecting the dots. To know more about HRA and its events, I would request all our participants to visit the link and details posted in the chat window. It would be great to have all the participants' feedback. We will be running a poll before the Q&A session. Request all the participants to kindly give your feedback on the session. I now take the privilege to introduce our moderator for this session, Mr. Shyam Gaur, Talent Manager Senior Manager at Talent and Resource Management, Signex Relevance Lab and Accelerant. Shyam Gaur is a seasoned professional with over a decade of experience specializing in recruitment, sourcing, training, and resource management, an extensive experience across multiple geographies. As a global senior manager in talent acquisition and resource management at Signex Technologies, he excels in full cycle recruiting, employment branding, and strategic talent acquisition. Shyam's innovative strategies have driven long term growth and cost saving initiatives across platforms. He has also managed employee appraisals and is an active member of the HR Association of India, where he develops social media marketing plans and contents. He holds certification in recruitment, sourcing, data analysis, and interactive dashboards. Known for his creativity, teamwork, and adaptability, Shyam is a thought leader and a speaker where he is vocal on giving insights on trending topics in HR, talent management, resource management, empathy, trust building, team building, data analysis, AI in HR, and talent management, and a lot more. His numerous LinkedIn publications provide insights on modern recruiting techniques, leveraging social media, and using innovative tools to enhance recruitment processes, people management, and empathy. You can follow him on LinkedIn. The link for the same has been shared in the chat window. Without wasting much time, I now hand over the platform to Sham. Over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Faisal. So, hello, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this beautiful Thursday afternoon. While we have received the first rainfall, most of us would see a lot of government bodies running the initiative on sustainability and crisis management. While the government is doing their bit, does the private sector also contribute towards crisis management and how? Well, those questions are about to get answered. We are privileged to have two amazingly distinguished speakers with us. Dr. Soumya Badgyan, VP HR Business Strategy, Gold Star Jewelry Private Limited. As Vice President HR Business Strategy at Gold Star Private Limited, a leading luxury manufacturing company in India, Dr. Soumya has more than 20 years of experience in HR field with a strong academic background and multiple credentials. She holds a PhD in e-commerce, an MA in psychology, and an MBA in marketing and international trade, and a PG diploma in HR, gold medalist. She is also a member of Institute of Directors, prestigious network of building leaders and professionals. Her core competency include designing and executing organizational transformational strategies, pioneering digital transformation initiatives, devising alternative motivational solution, and assuring in fair practice by using analytics as a tool in HR domain. Dr. Somya is also a passionate educator and trainer and a professor of practice at Wuxen University and visiting faculty at IFEEL. To follow her on LinkedIn, the link of the same has been shared below. The next speaker is Harini Srinivasan, partner Semskustal India Institute India LLP, with over 27 years of experience in human resource and organizational development. She is a partner at Semcostal Institute India, a leading business growth and culture consulting firm with 35 plus footprints across the globe that helps organizations unleash the potential of their people and create self-managing, trust-based, and innovative workplaces. She is a certified behavioral analyst, transactional analyst, and a design thinking practitioner, as well as business transformation evangelist, a design thinker, a neuroscience enthusiast, and a behavioral scientist. Harini has proven track record of delivering successful outcomes in the area of resource management, performance management, HRIS and analytics, leadership coaching management, counseling, conflict mediation, employee relation, HR practices and policies, compensations and benefit management, and legal and internal investigation. She has also provided human resource consulting and resource support for entities like APAC, Middle East, and East parts of Europe. Harini is a strong believer in driving one's destiny and practicing resilience as a life skill. She is a crusader for zero student suicide and a passionate speaker on transforming education. She can be followed on LinkedIn. The link for the same has been shared in the chat window. And we have Mr. Rohan Lehele, founder director, Elmetis Consulting. Unfortunately, due to some unavoidable exigency, he won't be able to join us today. But you can follow him on the LinkedIn. The link for the same has been shared in the chat window. It would be our privilege to have our experts share their insight on integrating sustainability into crisis management plans, where even today sustainability is seen as nice to have, not core business functions, and what needs to be done to consider shift from needed of considering sustainability as an annual report topic to monthly operational framework. In the contemporary business landscape, integrating sustainability into crisis management plan is increasingly essential. This strategy involves embedding sustainable practices into every facet of crisis preparedness and response, ensuring that companies not only manage immediate disruption effectively, but also contribute long-term environmental stewardship and social responsibility. By prioritizing resource efficiency, green technology, and resilient supply chain, business can mitigate risk, safeguard their operation, and enhance their reputation as forward-thinking leaders committed to a sustainable future. So while I was reading about this topic, I came across a quote which says sustainable crisis management is not just about weathering the storm, but about building a foundation that ensures business emerges stronger, more resilient, and better aligned with the future we want to create. So with this, let's understand from our leader on what, how, and when of integrating sustainability. So Dr. Soumya, the first question is to you. What challenges might organization encounter when integrating sustainability into their crisis management plan, and how can this be addressed?
Thank you, Shyam, for the question. And as you've already mentioned, हमने sustainability and crisis management इसी platform पे देख लिया, right? One of the speaker
Right.
drops out, and rather two of the speakers drop out, and then we run into a crisis, and then we catch hold of others to come and keep
Right.
the platform sustainable. Now, when it comes to business, and that's how we what we did was something beautiful, and what you did was something beautiful, is that you went ahead and said, भाई कितने resources available है मेरे पास, you know and you delved into those. And the same thing happens with business. There would be exigencies, there would be things that would happen which is far beyond your control, but you still have to hold your forte with whatever is available to you. So number one is your resources, and allocation of those resources is very important. Number two is, what are your stakeholders saying about the entire thing? Which means, are you having your stakeholders buy-in and the engagements? Not everyone is up for sustainability. I come from gems and jewelry industry, and believe me, हमारे तो raw materials come from inside the earth's crust. So sustainability itself is a huge question mark that we are, experiencing with the changing consumer scape. So that's the second challenge that we see. The third is the risk assessment, right? People have to start looking at sustainability and how do you incorporate that into your balance sheets, into your P&L sheets, and do a thorough assessment of if I go this way, then what? And if I do not go that way, then what? The fourth very important thing is logistics, supply chain, the alternatives available, जो आज हमने बहुत अच्छे से सीखा आपके प्लेटफॉर्म में. And kudos to you guys. You guys are amazing, And I'm sure Harini to hamesha ye, she's the go-to person for any crisis, personal, professional. So thank you, darling, for always being there. And the very important fifth point I would say is the organization culture. Is your organization geared around, do people talk around sustainability as something which is absolutely ingrained in the DNA of the organization? Do you even care for sustainability? हाँ ठीक है ना यार, ओजोन लेयर फट गई, हमें क्या, हम तो एसी चला रहे हैं. ओके, इलेक्ट्रिसिटी ठीक है गायब हो गई, आज शाम जी की इलेक्ट्रिसिटी गायब हो गई तो क्या हुआ, सोलर पैनल्स नहीं है तो भी चल तो रही है ना यार. विद्युत विभाग, हमारा इलेक्ट्रिसिटी विभाग है सेंडिंग अस इलेक्ट्रिसिटी. So do we really care about it? Do we really do we have a sign up for it as an org culture? And another important thing is, ये सारी चीजें जब आप कर लेते हैं, if you have to maintain it at a sustainable level, then you have to measure all of these and you have to keep monitoring it. So my point is that if you do not have a measuring mechanism for it and a monitoring mechanism for the sustainability and the crisis management, then this is just another tick mark like many other could be, would be, should be things in your, kind of things that you would want to achieve as an organization. So just, I would say the major things that I have tried to cover it up in the most concise way that I could. And I hope that this is what my thoughts about, crisis management and sustainability would be. So over to you, Shyam, and thank you.
Thank you, Soumya. So one good point, Soumya, that you mentioned about Harini being our go-to person on crisis management. So if we have to ever build a kind of ministry over HRAI, she would be leading the crisis management team throughout. Yeah, ma'am, you're good to go with that, right?
Absolutely okay. Love this portfolio, crisis management.
Right. Okay. So Harini, the next question again is on crisis management. How does focusing on sustainability enhance an organization reputation and stakeholder relationship during a crisis?
First of all, I want to decode crisis and how we deal with crisis. In some organizations, I have noticed that they schedule crisis meetings, right? Every month there is a crisis meeting. That really amused me. How can you expect a crisis to happen, right? So first of all, I think more than crisis management, it is important for organizations to understand how to arrive at a situation where you are at, crisis avoidance, right? So crisis avoidance is a lot better than being in a situation where you're anticipating a crisis and you're keeping your infrastructure ready to deal with it. That would be the most stupidest thing to do. How do we get to crisis avoidance? And again, putting that into the sustainability context, I think all of us, if we are not conscious of how the natural resources are depleting, simply because we are all, slaves of comfort, I think we are heading towards a crisis, and it's very soon. It's rather rapid, and every day, every passing day, it increases in leaps and bounds. So we are actually heading for a situation where we may have to manage a crisis with respect to our natural resources. That's not a great place to be. What do we do if we can what extent can we try and be in the space of crisis avoidance? When it comes to an organizational strategy, I would rather look at what can you do in the sustainability space to avoid a crisis. A few things. I think one very basic thing is a strategy for crisis avoidance in sustainability is something where you need to have absolute alignment of that shared vision. It cannot just be the vision of the management. There has to be alignment of every individual in the organization towards that. Otherwise, it will be something which is a mandate from the top to the bottom, and that will not make a difference. Now, after alignment of those goals, I think it's also important. The next step is to see, are these objectives communicated clearly across the organization? Now, once they are communicated across the organization and it is acknowledged that people have understood, it becomes easy for them to follow. And then it's a question of how do you measure it, monitor it, how do you incentivize what you do in this process. But I think it all starts with the key point that I want to make is before we get into crisis management, I think we should invest our time, effort, and our intellect in doing something about crisis avoidance, especially in the sustainability space. Back to you, Shyam.
Yeah, well said, Rini. To sum it up, avoidance is better than dealing with it. Great. Okay, Dr. Soumya, next question to you. How can sustainability consider shape decision makings and communication strategies during a crisis?
क्योंकि इतना मजा आ रहा है ना इन पिन सेफ्टी पिन इन पिन आउट हम तीनों खेल रहे हैं. I feel like this is the best thing about the panel. So just keeping the mood lighter here. So crisis and sustainability एक ऐसा topic हो जाता है which actually is a very heavy topic to discuss. And when we talk about, decision makings and creating a communication strategy around the crisis management. So first and foremost is what is your long-term objective, right? And that needs to be clearly stated, mandated, buy-ins created, because you are also looking at social, economic, and environmental issues here, right? Next step would be that you have to create a resilience in the system and also create an adaptability to it. Now, when I say about the resilience and adaptability, let me give you an example of gems and jewelry where I come from. Now, we migrated from excavated diamonds to lab-grown diamonds. Now, diamonds can be created in the lab. Now, lab-grown diamond, if you go on Insta, you go on any on the other platform, you are being constantly bombarded with, okay, how sustainable and green the diamonds have become. Now, that's the crisis for the industry, because now we're talking about the mined or the excavated diamonds, which, may be damaging the earth. As far as the industry is concerned, the amount of soil that is tilled, equal amount of trees are being planted. However, the growth may not be at the same, speed. So these things need to be talked of more often in the inside your circle and create a strategy around it. That how would you make the entire ecosystem resilient and adaptable to it? So probably we are in a state of going hybrid. So some you may go in as an industry, we may take up as lab grown diamond, and few we still would be going with the mine diamond. So you have to have that resilience very clearly. Then you have to have that fostering stakeholders engagement, right? And when we say how would you create that engagement? Well, where there are forums there who can come and talk, right? You can be part of various consortiums which also teach people and who would come and also speak about how these models can be adopted, and then create again a communication strategy around it. Could be from top to bottom, because this is something that I feel should flow from the management to the grassroots level. The next would be, how transparent are you in all these goals? If you have a certain amount of carbon footprints need to be, saved, or you have to earn certain amount of carbon points or carbon negative. How are you attaining those? Right? And are you going in? So what we've done is we've created one building, which is a green building. So we were very new to this concept. This was not our area of expertise. So we roped in a consultant who gave us that, hey, you can get so many points by doing such and such, right from solar panels to everything that we are doing, including getting down to the to as minor a thing as replacing plastic with a more sustainable something which has to do with metals. राइट सो आपके टम्बलर्स मेटल के हो गए, आप वो वाटर बॉटल्स जो हैं डेस्क पे हैं वो प्लास्टिक की आप हटा के यू गिविंग देम jars which are different. So this is how we're making that building go green. So this has to be a very transparent, measurable thing that needs to get into along with your communication strategy. Rest is how innovative are you in putting forth your word. I have seen that when we were students, sustainability was not taught in school. So हमारा orientation ही नहीं हुआ उस तरफ. But if you talk about our children, right from women, being educated to using cotton sanitary pads, right from there to going for bamboo toothbrushes. I'm talking about everyday articles, right? The consumer of today, or rather of tomorrow, is being made ready today to understand whether the products that they are using from an organization or from a company can actually help you in your goals, and whether I should couple and park my money with that. So it is the larger societal cause that we are talking about here. So communications needs to be very structured. It has to be very transparent. It needs to have a certain goal which can be measured. And of course, the stakeholders need to be, bought in it. So by stakeholders, I also mean everyone, not just your employees, but your vendors, everyone who is even coupling with you for any reason needs to be bought in. So that would be my thoughts. Over back to you, Sham, for this. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. So long-term objectives which deals with social, economic, and environmental things. Great. Thank you so much, Soumya. So Harini, the next question is about relationship between sustainability and crisis management evolving. How do you see that? What trends or best practices do you foresee emerging in this field?
So it's very interesting that sustainability is being looked at under the category of crisis management. It's very, very interesting. In a way, I think that's a good sign because people have started at least identifying it as a crisis. But if you go back and look at best practices, I did talk about crisis avoidance, and some of the best practices that are there for crisis avoidance can definitely be implemented here in the context of sustainability as well. So one of the things, like I said, is transparency of the shared vision of how sustainable as an organization we want to be. So transparency of the shared vision, in the sense articulating that vision with absolute synchronization in thoughts, words, and actions, right? Whatever is on the wall, whatever is in people's thoughts, and how those things are shown as action in the organization, how your policies are, do they reflect the same thing? So that's one of the second thing is, I think one of the prevalent best practices is when it comes to organizational KPI reporting, the integrated reporting of not just the financial matters, but also the sustainability status, the sustainability index of the organization. The integrated reporting is the best practice, which kind of sends a message out to people that sustainability is a key performance indicator of the organization. We grow when we are good in that KPI as well. So giving that equal importance, again, that prevents it from becoming a crisis and you remain in the crisis avoidance state. The third thing is, how do you now translate this into action? How do you get your people involved? So another third best practice, or rather, I wouldn't say each one is a separate best practice. It would be great if organizations do all of this, but probably the third practice there that you can look about is create a cross-functional team where you have a diverse representation of everyone, top down, different hierarchy levels across the organization at, at a horizontal cross section as well. Drive sustainability initiatives and not sustainability initiatives as deviated from the organization's goals, right? They should be in sync. The sustainability is not an extracurricular activity. It is something that has to happen along with what the organization wants to achieve, and therefore a KPI of the organization. Now, why a cross-functional team is to just to send out a loud message that it is everybody's responsibility and not only a small team, which is like a sustainability department. We want to move away from such silos, create cross-functional team, which has representation of every function so that sustainability gets integrated with every function in the organization. It becomes a part of every role, every function. So, alignment of a shared vision of sustainability, clarifying that vision, synchronizing thoughts, words, and actions, coming out with integrated reports and cross-functional teams to drive it into action. I think these are some of the best practices that I can think of. And not only do they drive sustainability and create a crisis avoidance, but they also build resilience. Samya was talking about resilience. And I think resilience is super important because ultimately what's resilience is? Resilience is nothing but when you fall down, rise like a phoenix. And when it comes to a crisis, if you rise like a phoenix, you're actually tided over the crisis. So I think building resilience also comes from these best practices as well. Back to you, Shin.
Thank you so much, Harini, for sharing that. Okay, so Harini, while we are talking about best practices, how can an organization measure effectiveness of sustainability initiatives within the crisis management plans?
Question is again to me.
Soumya, if you can, or Harini, if you either of them is fine.
Yay! So we know.
I can go for it first. I can go for it first, and maybe Soumya would want to add.
Harini actually spoke about the KPI. So she
Correct.
actually has touched upon this point.
Right.
I'll just
When we
continue.
have to, yes. So when we talk about measuring it, you definitely have to build your KRAs and KPIs and OKRs around this particular aspect. So measure your carbon footprints. You have to measure a lot of things that like for us in gems and jewelry we have ETP plans. So we measure the effluents being thrown back in the environment and how we are actually treating those effluents, because we create a lot of waste, whether through our refining plants. So all that needs to be measured. Then you also need to have and employ a safety, I would say a safety measurement kind of a grid around it. The next point would be that, like even Harini said, that it cannot be just a tick mark thing for us, and it cannot be something that you're doing it maybe just for, some people, some organizations I've seen that they want XYZ award. So they'll work towards that. The moment they get an award, then sustainability is out of the window, So if that's the case, then I would think that you have not actually pledged towards the cause. What one needs to do is that it is a continuous improvement and a continuous commitment towards that. Right? And this continuous improvement needs to be measured. So there are models available which helps you, which of course, we are doing it through our consultants because this was something which was very new to us. However, we have coupled it with Six Sigma and we are seeing the results. Moving just one single point on Six Sigma, believe you me, it is back-breaking. हमको तो लगा था बड़ा easy होगा, but it is not. You have to make things right at so many levels to achieve that one point. The next is that, it cannot, this entire thing cannot work in silos. You cannot have one department which is the easiest. चलो HR में करके देख लेते हैं, सबसे कम हो जाएगा, paperless बना देते हैं, sustainable हो गया. It cannot work like that. You have to employ each and every department of the organization and funnel it up to the organizational goals and see how it is hitting there. So again, it is I would say it is a cumulative task and responsibility which needs to be channeled up to a common pegged goal and a targeted goal. So there's a goal and then there is a target. So it has to be both together, that we have to attain it in a certain way. So these are my thoughts on it. We're still very new to this entire concept as an industry and as an organization, but we are learning our way up. So these are my thoughts on it, what we are actually doing. Thank you.
Harini, would you like to add something from your end?
Yeah, just a couple of points. So metrics are very easy to start with. Okay, so one is, so the best way to look at it is, obviously you may not even have to fix any target, but you can see how you are trending. So for example, simplest example is, look at the electricity bill of the organization, okay, of your office. Let's take a pilot of or maybe just the head of. Okay, look at what's your electricity bill and publish it out there. I'm saying it's not even the responsibility of the admin department to monitor. Publish it. Let people be aware. And you're also making them aware of, we have a sustainability target and we want to go green, etc. And ask people to come out with ideas on what you can do from your side to have this electricity bill, the consumption becoming lower month on month. The very fact that you just publish the electricity bill amount, just publish it, put it on your intranet, just make it visible, and people are aware of the goal, they will start working towards reducing the electricity. So that's one way to measure, are you progressing in the right direction? Another way to measure is teams and people and individuals can have targets on what they are going to do towards sustainability. Have them come and share their interesting stories. So for example, when I moved away from, when I started minimizing plastic usage, I was very happy to come and share that story with a lot of people, right? A lot of organizations have internal newsletters. So publish a sustainability hero of the month where somebody comes and talks about what that person did very differently towards sustainability. It may not be in the office, but what we're trying to do here is build a culture of sustainability so that we stay within the crisis avoidance space. I'm a big fan of keeping everything in the crisis avoidance rather than crisis management, because post-mortem se kuch nahi hota. We would rather treat the person when they're still alive. So celebrating sustainability heroes and helping them share with the rest of the organization as to what they did differently could be one way to drive sustainability. But I think the easiest metric is publish whatever are your carbon footprints and let people see it in the organization. They will on their own come up with ways of reducing carbon.
Thank you so much, ladies, for the shared answer. Okay, now there's a common question I'm going to ask both of you. How can data analytics and AI be leveraged to enhance sustainable crisis management strategies? Either of you want to go first?
All right. So for us, what we've done is that we've created a dashboard. And because we are still very new to this entire thing, we are still collating the data because we don't have enough data yet to decipher. But what we can actually do is that we can get into a little bit of predictive analysis based on the data that we've assimilated, right? Now, when we are, bringing in AI, artificial intelligence into it, something like a BMS, which is a building management system, can be integrated. So if you're not at work, if you're not at office, and if you're not at your desk, how it automatically switches off. These are pointers that can help you, to actually bring in technology to work for you in a, in this kind of space. The other thing that we've done is that a lot of wastage in terms of when it comes to savings, like Harini mentioned that electricity, for example. Now we were having that data, but what we were seeing also that operators were leaving the machines or the places with electricity on, even though they were not at their desk or they were not at the workstations. Now that is a huge drain on the system. Something like tap waters and faucets, right? If you can put sensors on them, it really helps. We've also put in reusable, water sanitization process, wherein the water that people use in washing hands is reused in the toilets, right? We've got urinals that need the least amount of water because they are all sensors are there. Now, all these sensors are giving us data, right? And these data are now being captured to measure the quantum of water that we are using, the electricity that we are using, including we are using a lot of membranes to filter the waters, right? Because we also get into the cycle of getting into our plants for refinery purpose. When we are in the refinery purpose, we've seen that our refinery percentage has jumped up because we are now able to catch a lot of such things which would just drain off, and we're dealing with wastage. When we call about waste, our sludge also carries gold in it. So if we recover gold from the sludge, you can very well understand how well that sludge is being utilized well. And we are using this gold, which we call as recycled gold or green gold, back into the system. So right from using water, electricity, we're getting data pointers there, to the gold and diamonds, which is recycled back as jewelry. We are creating a very sustainable environment. And this is where, predictive analysis, AI, is really helping us. Thank you. This is what we are doing. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Harini?
So I can add a few things. So the advantage with AI is that it helps you to do a lot of data mining and come out with quick reports as to what is the reality and what's happening. So definitely predictive analytics is one aspect, and how is, I love to simplify things, and how it helps us, again, let me go back to the electricity bill example. If you're able to show that this is the electricity bill as on today, and if we continue like this is what is going to happen. If predictive analytics shows you that, and rather than asking people or putting up a sticker saying switch off your lights, if you just show people where are we heading, they would themselves switch off the lights, right? Because this one thing in human behavior that I've noticed is that when there is an instruction, there is a force, there's always a counter force. So no matter you leave instructions, do this, do this, do this, you will always find people who don't do it because you're forcing and there's a counter force, right? Instead, if you just articulate the need, right, just show what's happening, what is the future going to look like, do a little bit of prediction for the organization. How is it going to eat into our bottom line, this kind of expenditure, and what that means to us as an organization? The need is created for people to switch off the lights when not in use. So that's one way to utilize artificial intelligence, the predictive analytics. And of course, artificial intelligence plays a huge role when it comes to risk assessment. There are so many tools available where it can assess the risk and give you a report as to how bad your risk is in this space. And you can use that risk analysis to build your sustainability strategy. So I think using artificial intelligence and all of its merit towards driving a sustainability strategy would make a lot of sense as a proactive measure, and using the reporting analytics to come out with how good we are and to showcase the metrics would be a very interesting lagging indicator. So I think both of these aspects of artificial intelligence can be used to drive success.
Yeah, thank you so much. So I think Faisal is enjoying this session. He has requested me for one last question. So here is the last question for both of you guys. What are the challenges and barriers to integrating sustainability into crisis management plans?
That's my favorite question. I don't mind going for it. Okay,
Go for
challenges
it,
and
honey.
so challenges and barriers are that's precisely a space where I try to do a lot of work. For me, this is nothing but any other kind of change management. Okay, we were working in a particular way, and now we suddenly realize that we're heading for a crisis, and we wish to work in a different way. Now, driving any kind of change itself is a challenge because one is there's always people who feel, why should we change? It's happening, right? There's always this feeling that, yeah, why do we need to rock the boat? Why do you need to shake the apple cart? It's fine. People are, there's sometimes complacence. That's one challenge. Second kind of challenge is when there is a mandate, right? It is driven top down. It's an absolute mandate without people seeing what is it at the end of this journey. Then it becomes very difficult to implement that change. When people are not sensitized to how is this change going to impact me? What's in it for me? When they're not able to see that, it becomes very difficult to drive that. Right? So just having a mandate and not showing people what's in it for them becomes a very big barrier. A lot of organizations, in their enthusiasm to drive a change and they want to do it fast, they feel that mandating would help. But in fact, fast is slow. You try to do it fast, but actually the whole thing ends up slow because no one really understands why am I doing it. And when they don't understand why am I doing it, it might just fizzle off. It may not happen. The third challenge is aligning people and their interest to this. Now, how many people really understand sustainability, really understand the consequences if it becomes a crisis? So creating a lot of awareness around it becomes a task because you're saying it's a core value of the organization. It's one of those things that drive the organization, but are people aligned to it? So that itself becomes a challenge. And that's where cascading it top down with aligning everybody layer by layer becomes important. So these are a few of the challenges and barriers. I think sometimes even organization structures become barriers. If I need to take 4 approvals for something, I know I'm overutilizing resources. Can we do something about those organizational structures, the reporting mechanisms, etc.? So several. I think organizational structures, the way processes run, how communication channels run in the organization, these are all barriers which may not appear directly linked to sustainability, but in general, they drive the culture. So definitely they are things that need to be looked at. Soumya?
Like I promised Shyam and Faisal that I will look at your eyes, and if I see he sab ho gaya hai, time up ho gaya, I agree to Harini is what I'm to say.
Okay.
Soumya being Soumya.
Okay, great. So, while we discussed about strategic integration, risk assessment, crisis response strategy, long-term recovery, technology and innovation, continuous improvements, benefits and outcome, there is a question on future challenge and opportunities from one of the audiences. They have given me. Looking ahead, what do you see as the biggest challenge and opportunities for integrating sustainability into crisis management? How is your organization preparing to address these future challenges?
So, may I? Right. So I think I've spoken a lot about gems and jewelry and how we are gearing up to adapt to sustainability, because this being a new agenda that is being forced or that is being mandated on us, right? तो UN ने सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट गोल्स दिया, मोदी जी ने जाके एक लैब ग्रोन डायमंड एक दूसरे राष्ट्रीय अध्यक्ष को दे दिया, and then our entire industry which originated from Gujarat is now thinking how to be sustainable. which is the biggest crisis, because the consumers that earlier were vying for jewelry made from diamonds, which was so pristine, pure, and also a symbol of love, can be artificially created in a lab, right? Can be cloned in a lab. The price has dropped down to 1/10 of what a mined diamond would be, which is towards the consumer, towards the consumer's advantage, but not towards the advantage of the industry, because there are a lot of inventory sitting with the retailers. And God forbid if they decide to send it back to us, we are in major, major crisis. So business-wise, these are the crises that we see. Other than that, we've already spoken about the climatic, reasons, the environmental reasons, the economic reasons, and the crisis about it. We've had this entire discussion woven around it. So as an industry, this is what we are seeing. Of course, we are also pledged towards not damaging the environment. I would also peg it towards the tuna, the bluefin tuna that is the most revered food in Japan, and how they are now stopping, if I can use the word, harvesting or fishing of the tuna fish. And that is how they are now contributing towards, the environment and sustainability, yet they are replacing the same with a different source. So this is how industries are gearing up today, including such traditional industry like gems and jewelry, which we are pledging. We have many examples from the industry who have come up beautifully well by adopting to it, especially in the diamond sector. And in Surat, we have beautiful examples of companies and organizations that have adopted to these changes. In Mumbai, however, the other crisis that we see is the lack of space. So if you want to go green, even if you want to create a green building, you have to have a parking in a certain way. You have to have X amount of space dedicated to the green zone, which the space and the price of the real estate doesn't allow us. So these are my points. Otherwise, we are doing it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Alrighty.
Yeah, so for me, the biggest challenge that I see in the future is that how are we able to translate thoughts and words into action? Because what I see is a lot of organizations, when they talk about, yeah, we have a sustainability goal, we are anti-plastic. But when you enter the office, especially when there are very important delegates, you see the plastic bottles coming out. Of course, they come with a lot of apology, right? But my only point is the biggest challenge I see is while we are saying a lot of things, when it comes to actually doing, there is still a lot of hesitation, right? Even at an organizational level, as long as the organization is absolutely ready and is on that path, and this requires a lot of courage. Okay, it's not easy because going back to drinking RO water and not using plastic bottles is considered a little below average in terms of sophistication. So it's very difficult going back, and it requires a lot of courage. To me, very simply put, I think that is one big challenge. The second big challenge is, a lot of plastic is still around. The plastic, so-called plastic ban, is really not happening. So in that case, it is, it's still, there are things that are said but not really translated into practice in the whole world. I'm not talking only of organizations, but everywhere else in the marketplace, and that becomes another challenge. So how much conviction do we have as individuals, as families, as organizations, as a nation towards it? To me, that's the biggest challenge, because if that conviction is in place, then things will work.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, to sum up the entire conversation today, integrating sustainability into crisis management plans, it's not merely an option, but a crucial imperative for organizations seeking to ensure resilience and long-term visibility. This approach involves embedding sustainable practices into every phase of crisis management, from risk assessment to immediate response to recovery and long-term planning. Okay, the integration of sustainability into crisis management not only enhances organizational preparedness and responsiveness, but also contributes to a healthier, more equitable, and sustainable world. Well, great. I think, Faisal, over to you. Now I think we are good with all time. Yeah.
Thank you, Shyam, for guiding us through this session with your brilliant and insightful expertise. We extend our heartful thanks to Dr. Somya, Ms. Harini for generously sharing their invaluable insights. It has been an honor to have such distinguished speakers enriching this engaging session with their perspective. For those who eager to learn and grow, the recording of today's session is available on the YouTube link shared in the chat window. And as we wrap up today's session, a special thanks goes to our event partners, Geisha, NASCOM, COE, Talgro, TLE, WICCI, LinkedIn Local, Ahmedabad, and India for their invaluable support to HREI events. To explore more about these associations, please visit the link provided in the chat window. Mark your calendars for June 20th, 2024, and join us for our next enlightening session on the topic DE&I, the beginning and not the end. That includes today's webinar. We look forward to your participation in future sessions, wishing you continued health and safety on your journey. Until our paths cross again, please take care, stay safe, and farewell for now. Thank you, Ms. Harini. Thank you, Dr. Somya.
Thank you, ladies, for making it
Bye.
easier
Thanks,
for us.
everyone.
Have a
Thanks,
good day.
everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.